Good morning. It's Enrique, aka the Aries Gamer, and I'm doing something a little bit different this morning. And I apologize if I sound a little congested. I'm kind of battling a cold here, if you will. So that's my situation right now. But doing something a little bit different. On the PlayStation 4, there's the ability now to stream through YouTube, much the same way you do through Twitch. So I'm kind of doing a live broadcast, but I want to talk about NPD, which came out this week. And actually, I wasn't even aware that that NPD was coming out this week. So I was kind of I didn't really know until I hopped on Twitter and I was like, "Oh, NPD news!" So I saw the kind of back and forth going back with some of the folks on Twitter, talking with their counterparts about the NPD results. So I'm going to talk about that, and then I'm going to talk about Tomb Raider, which did not chart on NPD. So I'll get into that a little bit later on, and I'm going to try to do some stuff here on Fallout 4, and which actually did chart on NPD. That's to no one's surprise. I don't think it's one of the most one of the more highly anticipated AAA games that was coming out this year. So on to NPD, and now look, one thing that I want to talk about in regards to just the game industry. The game industry is also, and I think one thing that sometimes gets a little overlooked. Obviously, to anyone that says the Xbox One is failing, no, that's not exactly true. The Xbox One is in fact selling very well. It's actually outselling the 360, but Microsoft itself is having quite a bit of success with the Xbox One console, and so it's not failing, guys. That's not happening. It just so happens though that the PlayStation 4 is selling like hotcakes, and it really is. I mean, to that point, Sony has 30.2 million consoles sold worldwide. Not exactly sure what the number is here in the United States, but they are leading here in the U.S. as well. So they're doing very well in that regard. But let's not lose sight of one important thing here. If you guys remember a couple years ago, a lot of supposed gaming industry analysts said that the console industry was kind of on a downward spiral, that it was, some folks even said it was dying. That is not the case today. We're seeing that now, guys. I mean, if you look at the gaming industry, how it is, if you look at the growth that we've seen, and if you I mean, if you have two consoles that are outselling their previous counterparts, in this case, the PlayStation 4 is outselling the PlayStation 3, and the Xbox One is outselling the Xbox 360, that should tell you that the gaming industry is very healthy. And that's something that gamers should be excited about, because a healthy industry means that more developers are going to be keen to taking a financial risk in making video games. Because let's face it, folks, gaming is a risky business. It takes a lot of capital, it takes a lot of hard work, and it's not guaranteed. And you know what? I need to start moving my character around here on Fallout 4. See, I said this is due, and I was going to try to do this and do a little bit of multitasking while I was going to talk about the NPD. So, and play Fallout 4 at the same time. So I'm not sure exactly how this is going to work out for me, but we'll see here. So, but by the way, I do love this feature, the YouTube feature here, that you can actually stream live like you can on Twitch. I mean, it's not a new type of thing, but I like the fact that for me, I have a YouTube channel, and this automatically gets dumped into my YouTube channel, which is why I've kind of gravitated toward this feature. And you can actually have your if you have a party chat on YouTube, when you're streaming a game through YouTube, you can include the party chat too, which is pretty cool. So you can actually do like a kind of live podcast, similar to what I'm already doing with Google Hangouts. But anyhow, that's my rant on YouTube. But if you look at just the overall numbers for at least here in the U.S., the gaming console industry is healthy, and November is actually this month of November is really one of the most important two of the most important months for sales in the video game industry. and that's because of the holidays. I mean, and that's just not the gaming industry. The U.S. economy is very much a consumer-driven economy. It's predicated on consumers, spending money, and that's what really this economy is, driven on. We're really not a economy that's based on production or manufacturing as much as we used to be years and years and years and years ago. So, this is a very important time of year for a lot of different industries in terms of consumers buying up consumer goods. So it's not just the video game industry, but here in the United States, consumers spent $2.47 billion on new game software. It's a lot of money. It's a lot of cash. So, and that's up 2% from 2014. So most of the growth, according to NPD, came from hardware, which saw an increase in revenue, even despite the price cuts. So you guys may remember a long time ago, or a couple of podcasts ago, I talked about, and I got to start moving my Fallout 4 character around here. You may remember that I talked about $299 being kind of the sweet spot for a lot of casual consumer base, or where the casual consumers start really going out and buying. Oh, I've never seen this boat here. I'm going to have to go check that out. Where the casual, I'm sorry, I'm getting distracted here. But where the casual consumer base really goes out and starts buying game consoles, and $299 is that sweet spot. And we're seeing that right now. If you look at the deals that Sony has, if you look at the deals Microsoft has right now, you could pick up an Xbox One or a PlayStation 4 for $299. So despite the the drop in price, revenue's up, which just shows you that more units are being sold to consumers. So at a cheaper price. And again, that goes back to historically speaking, $299 has always been that kind of sweet spot where the consumers really start that mass adoption or adoption of gaming consoles. So that is a huge win-win for the console generations, or I should say for the console industry. Now, we don't know exactly what the hardware numbers specifically are with Sony and Microsoft. Sony did say they had their most successful Black Friday ever. I believe Microsoft said the same thing. I have to go back and look at that. Obviously, I'm not prepared as usual, but I believe Microsoft did have one of their best Black Fridays as well, or one of their best Novembers as well. And I believe Aaron Greenberg mentioned that combined, both Sony and Microsoft did about $3 million in total sales, which is phenomenal in the month of November. And from what I've heard, Sony may have outsold Microsoft for about outsold Microsoft by about about 400,000 units here in the U.S. So, but that's what I'm hearing. I haven't read anything that confirmed that, but that's what I've been hearing from people who apparently say that they're in the know, but who knows? Now, software. I don't think this is a big surprise. And again, I'm not moving my character here on Fallout 4. You guys are probably like, what is he doing? He should probably not be multitasking. But I am trying to multitask here. By the way, this is a great game. I love this game. My character looks like a coal miner, but that's all right. Excuse me. So the software, no one's surprised really here. Call of Duty took, top spot, NPD November. Now, what's a little surprising is as you guys know, Sony came in and decided to pick up the marketing for Call of Duty Black Ops 3. As we all know, Microsoft has kind of been in bed with Activision for the majority of Call of Duty's success, if you will, last generation, this console generation up until this point. And so Sony had the marketing rights. If you look at the Call of Duty Black Ops 3 commercials, you'll see the PlayStation 4 bundle associated with those commercials, and Sony gets the map pack a month ahead of time and whatnot. So, but the game still sold better on the Xbox One, which is interesting, again, considering the marketing deal. So perhaps, Microsoft saying, hey, you know what, we're not going to invest those dollars in marketing for this game. We're going to focus that more on first-party development. Perhaps, that that paid off, and maybe Sony maybe didn't necessarily have to go out and spend that money and pick up the marketing deal. Apparently, that I think that part of that, if you're wondering why the Call of Duty Black Ops 3 game sold better on the Xbox One, I think that just goes back to just the history. That game's probably associated with the Xbox brand, has been for a long time. It's an online game. A lot of people are playing it online. And, if you've been playing Black Ops, or I'm sorry, Call of Duty for a long time online, and it's traditionally sold, best on the Xbox consoles, chances are your friends are on Xbox Live, the people you play Call of Duty with are on Xbox Live. Chances are you're probably not going to make that switch to go from Xbox Live to PlayStation Network to play Call of Duty Black Ops 3, where your friends are probably still playing on Xbox Live. So that probably has something to do with why the game sold well, or why the game sold best on Xbox One. Now, Fallout 4 is a little bit interesting because Microsoft actually had the marketing deal. They have the Fallout 4 bundle right now that's available. But actually the game sold, best on PlayStation 4 and then Xbox One and then PC. But again, with considering how big the installed user base is for the PlayStation 4, that probably doesn't come as too much a surprise. Actually, I was surprised to see. And I'm skipping over Star Wars Battlefront. That came in 3, sold on the PlayStation 4 best, and then the Xbox One after, then PC. Now, Star Wars is interesting. I've had a lot of conversations on podcasts with some of the other guys that I follow with on Twitter, and I think we all pretty much agree that was kind of a big deal, a big bundle for Sony to pick up because of the release of Star Wars: The Force Awakens on December 18th. Yes, that movie comes out in a week. I cannot wait. Probably going to see it like multiple times. I'm willing to bet that worldwide on opening week, that movie probably generates, I'm going to say $500 million worldwide. I'm going to go out there and say that. It's going to be. I think Jurassic Park was like $400 million. The last Jurassic Park that came out this summer. I'm going to go out on a limb and say Star Wars: The Force Awakens is going to do $500 million. So, but, so that some of the conversations that I've had with some of the guys that I talk with on Twitter and some previous podcasts that I've done, I think a lot of us were in agreement and thought that the Star Wars bundle excuse me, was kind of a big deal for Sony to pick up, and that's because of the timing of the game. The timing of the game with the movie. Look, Star Wars is a big movie franchise. It's just it's just one of those franchises that sells a lot of merchandise. And there was an article, and I don't know what publication or what website I read it on, but basically anything Star Wars related is like tops on holiday list for consumers. Anything you could think of Star Wars, whether it's a Star Wars backpack, Star Wars memorabilia, Star Wars toys, video games, anything that has Star Wars on it right now is like a top seller. So you got to imagine that, perhaps that, when I mentioned that 400,000 and that 400,000 that Sony outsold Microsoft here in the U.S. Perhaps maybe some of that had to do with that Star Wars Battlefront bundle. Battlefront came in at number 3 on NPD for software, so you got to believe that that probably definitely helps Sony push some units. Considering again that movie franchise is going to have a big release coming up here in the next week. So I was actually surprised to see Madden. Madden's number 4 right now. I was really surprised to see that. That sold top on PlayStation 4 and the Xbox One. NBA 2K16's up there. And holy shit, what about the Golden State Warriors, guys? 24-0. 24 wins, 0 losses. I mean, look, the best team I've ever seen play was the 95-96 Chicago Bulls that went 72-10 with Michael Jordan. Some of you, I don't know, may be old enough to remember that. But this team is just wow. I mean, 24-0. I mean, that's just huge. They've set an NBA record for the most straight road wins at 14, and I don't know. They could surpass that 72-10 Chicago Bulls team for the most wins in NBA history, but we'll see. So NBA 216's up there. FIFA's up there as well. Um, I'm not a big FIFA fan. Haven't been in some years, but that's another conversation. Need for Speed's there at 7. Halo 5's at 8. So Halo 5's still charting, despite some of the I've seen this on Twitter. People saying that it's the least selling Halo game. Perhaps that's the case, but regardless of that, it's still a great game. And this game is still selling well. I mean, still charting. It's exclusive to the Xbox One console. It looks like it may be the only exclusive on this list, the top 10 list for software for NPD November. Yeah, it is. Everything else is third party. So, Halo's still, showing that it's still it's still a powerful franchise, AAA franchise, and big AAA exclusive. So it's still charting. I wouldn't be surprised if this game doesn't chart for December as well. And then Assassin's Creed comes after that, and then Just Dance. Now it's funny. It's interesting about Just Dance is that some of the the shock, if you will, on Twitter kind of revolves around Just Dance. And this might be a good segue into Rise of the Tomb Raider. But Just Dance charted at number 10, and Rise of the Tomb Raider did not. And look, Rise of the Tomb Raider is a great game. It's one of the top games that I've played this year. It might be one of the best games I've played so far this console generation. I've said this in previous podcasts. I said that it's a close second to my game of the year, The Witcher 3, but didn't chart, and which is a shame because it's such a great game. And I see a lot of Xbox One console owners talk about the Xbox One's got all these AAA exclusives, and that's a big deal. But I feel like at times, if you're going to talk about those kinds of things, if you're going to talk about or make a list, if you will, about AAA games, you got to go out and support some of these games, and supporting those games is going to really kind of, you want to support those games too, not only because you've been talking about it, but because if you only own that console and you want to see more, exclusive content coming to that console. You want to see those exclusive games do well. There's been some really good games. I mean, really good games on the Xbox One that haven't sold well. And look, I don't buy into that notion either. I see people say, "Oh, well, Sunset Overdrive flopped," because it didn't sell well. So somehow, because it didn't sell well, that means that it's a bad game. No, that's not true. I don't equate sales sometimes with the quality of a software title. Sunset Overdrive is an example of that. Rise of the Tomb Raider is an example of that. Forza 6 is an example of that. So